going on, Jerome's a super fun Saturday. Birds are chirping and stuff, and it's time for another Vikings news dump. He sees you when you're pooping. Going through some boxes of junk around the house, found this oldie but a goodie. So picture me back in the day playing high school football. RP Trojans, 2002 Class A Minnesota State champions. No big deal. No big deal. Just by the way. So we played 2 games in the Dome. The Dome was a giant garbage heap. Oh my God. I swear to everything that's holy, like that old AstroTurf, I think they just painted concrete. That's what it was, man. Like, I have no idea how professional athletes just got out there and got after it. I don't get it. But we are the Trojans. So, of course, always had condom jokes. No big deal. But I think this might have been junior year. I don't know. But rocking the 1-4 way before Stephon Diggs. No big deal. Ooh, I'm looking like Sammy Darnold. Slinging it. That's right, man. But also giant calves from back in the day. I always wear gloves. I don't know why I'm not wearing gloves in the picture. It's kind of weird. But also, it was a couple pounds ago. No big deal. I was probably like 5'7", like 160. Maybe in high school. I don't know, man. But of course, in the program, the 5'7", 160 guy is 5'10", 180. That's what happens. But so I was a slot receiver on a team that only ran a pro-style set. 2 running backs and a tight end. I also played a little bit of corner and some special teams. Good times. But scouting report, small but slow. Actually, I was kind of fast back in the day. Like, when I was in track, I ran an 11.5 100 meter. I don't know. Decent hands, limited catch radius. Hey, if it hit me like right here, I got it. Demands too much money. This is before NIL, so it was all under the table. Heart and hustle sometimes when I feel like it, as well as locker room lawyer. I could see that, but also can throw a hell of a barbecue. I feel like that's pretty good. Yeah, and I did have 1 touchdown that was on KTTC, which was the Rochester NBC affiliate. That tape is lost to history, though. So also is announced by Pat Lund, R.I.P. One of the great Minnesota sports announcers. He was fantastic, man. It was great. But going on to someone who has a more promising profile, I could have been something if I didn't hurt my knee. Also, speaking of knees, Michael Penix. So Penix put on a show at his pro day, running a 4.4 640 or 4.5 or whatever. But doing that and also having the huge vertical leap and broad jump on after 2 ACLs, looking pretty damn good. And I know the injury history is concerning. Also, the fact that he was in college for 6 years, Van Wilder style, yes, that does factor in. But that ball just spins out of his hand, man. Like, he drops piss missiles, and maybe it's just because he's left-handed, but even if he was right-handed, it just like that ball just explodes out of his hands. He's got love to see it. Now, a factor is hand size. Now, with quarterbacks, like, hand size is made a big deal. Of course, Dante Culpepper from back in the day, get your roll on. Like, did he fumble a lot because he had smallish hands, smells like cabbage? I don't know, man. But the whole thing is, so Michael Penix Jr. has 10.5-inch hands, which is the largest of the draft-eligible quarterbacks this year, just edging out Joe Milton as well as Bo Nix, who have 10 and 1/8, I want to say. Doesn't matter. But that's close enough there. Now, Caleb Williams has 9 3/4. Drake May has 9 1/8. But looking through, like, there isn't like a... there isn't a correlation per se in terms of hand size and fumble rate, but it does help gripping the ball, especially in colder weather, especially when weather is a factor in the game. And also maybe Penix does just have such a pretty spiral because he does have larger hands, and that is a factor. It's also in basketball too. Like one of the reasons why John Stockton was so successful, even being like a 6-foot point guard, is because he had massive giant hands. Same thing with Isaiah Thomas too. So, is this important at the end of the day? Maybe, maybe not. But also, I just love Penix's vibe, man. Also, I love that he had the music cranked at his pro day. He looks super relaxed, and he's just showing off for his guys, pumping up, Polka McMillan and stuff. It's just good. I don't know, like, I again, I understand all the drawbacks, and I understand that there are other quarterbacks that the Vikings should and could be in, but I mean, this looks good. This looks good, man. Also looking good is LaJarius Sneed. There you go. LaJarius Sneed was franchise tagged by Kansas City Chiefs, and the Vikings reportedly were in on sniffing around and possibly doing a trade. The trade officially went down on Friday as the Tennessee Titans, who also paid LaJarius Sneed $19 million per year plus. He was sent to Tennessee for again. I'm too busy watching Boardwalk Empire, but for a third-round pick in 2025, as well as a swap of spots in the 7th round. Now, the Vikings are projected to have at least one third-round pick. So would the Vikings have gotten it done as well as made it work cap-wise? Yeah, I think the Vikings certainly could have been in. But Pete Sweeney, who's been a beat writer for the Chiefs for about 10 years, this is what he wrote about the Sneed trade. Blah, 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 blah. Trade's official. Interesting note on the Chiefs process. I'm told there was discussion regarding Sneed with the Vikings, who considered an offer of a 2024 fourth and a 2025 third. So the Vikings... that's actually more draft capital than the Titans had on the table, and the Vikings having 2 fourth-round picks would have been palatable. Ultimately, long-term health concerns made Minnesota withdraw. Now, that's super interesting because, I mean, it didn't really come up in the evaluation process of concern long-term. So, obviously, the Vikings, probably sent their medical team, checked out Sneed, and did that whole process, but they decided to step out. And also, it's the first time ever that Kwesi's looked at a medical guide like, Nah. Titans were there, blah, 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 blah. So, again, really interesting that the Vikings were in. Now, ultimately, the Vikings did sign Shaq Griffin, so that checked the box in terms of bringing in a cornerback in the free agency / trade. But also, I mean, don't discount the Vikings going after a corner in the draft as well, because it's pretty clear that Andrew Booth Jr. and Caleb Evans maybe don't see eye to eye with Flores. Who knows? Who knows, man? Also getting in trades. So the Vikings been very active thus far this offseason, and I feel like there's one more. I got one more in me. Potentially moving up, moving heaven and earth. So 33rd team in their latest mock draft. They had a mock trade where the Vikings sent 11, 23, and the 2025 first-round pick to the Patriots for number 3 and 137. All right, so now, I mean, it is nice that the Vikings get back a 4th-round pick, so the Vikings would have 8 selections on day 3, including 3 4th-round picks, which certainly takes a sting out of not having a day 2 selection. And also, I mean, getting your guy, quarterback of the future, and ideally, he'll sit for a while. Hopefully, Sam Darnold will be really damn solid with the keys to the kingdom. But 11-23, that's the cost of doing business, and I would have liked not to have given up the 2025 first, but it is what it is. And if you're sold that Drake May is the guy, go get him. Go get your dude. And I know that there is some concerns like, hey, well, if the Vikings have an off year in 2024 as everyone's trying to get acclimated together and that first-round pick ends up being high. That's exactly what happened to the Panthers last season, but I don't really see that. I think the defense has a very high floor. I think they will be a top 10 unit. And offensively, whether it's Darnold or rookie, I mean, I think that they will still put up numbers as they're still growing and showing. So if the cost is a cost, so go get it done. Speaking of getting it done, so Daniel Jeremiah on NFL Network talking about mock drafts and stuff, and talk about places for quarterbacks to land. And he talked about Drake May, and he talked about the Vikings. And from Pro Persuasion, per Move the Sticks, Drake May should be praying he lands in Minnesota with his number one choice, and his number one choice should be the Vikings for all the reasons listed. Where you got JJ, you got the weapons, you got O'Connell, you got McCown, they go way back and all that stuff. So yeah, I feel like, whether it's May or Daniels or McCarthy or whoever, like, this is going to be a great spot for whichever quarterback lands here. And frankly, the fact that you do have an offensive-minded head coach, I think that does supersede what Eberflus is going to do in Chicago, defensive guy, what Dan Quinn is going to do in Washington, defensive guy, what Gerard Mayo is going to do with the quarterback in New England, defensive guy. I think that does matter. It really does. And also, so like we said, best spot. So, play caller, Kevin O'Connell. Also, you have McCown. You got Aaron Jones, J.J. Addison, and Hawkinson. I mean, that's the Sons of Anarchy right there. I think that's the best triplet unit in the league once Hawkinson gets back and is fully healthy and good to go. For the Bears, I mean, Shane Waldron, okay. But DeAndre Swift in free agency, Keenan Allen is a stud. They're probably going to add a third wide receiver. DJ Moore was very good last year, as well as Cole Kmet. Okay, sure. The Broncos, Sean Payton, no. Javonte hasn't been the same since that ACL. Cortland Sutton for now. Josh Reynolds, okay. And then Greg Dulcich. The Raiders, Luke Getsy, nope, done. I don't even care if you have the leftovers of Devontae Adams. Just done. You're done. Donezo. All done. But Vikings, I would be willing to say that the Vikings, for teams that are, if and when the Vikings do trade up, teams drafting in the top 10 for a quarterback, I think it's the best landing spot for a quarterback in NFL history, in the top 10, outside of Mahomes after the Chiefs trade up to take him at 10, back in the day. Be ready to put that on the table. That's right. And lastly, so practice. Talk about practice. So Vikings OTA schedule has been announced. This is from the team's website. Minnesota's voluntary organized team activities. So much room for activities. Practices are scheduled for the following dates at TCO Performance Center Bar and Grill. Monday, May 20th and the 21st, and then Thursday on the 23rd. So that's week 1, phase 1, whatever one. Tuesday, and then the 28th, 29th, 31st, and then on the 10th through 4 days, the 10th through the 13th in June. Now, what's interesting is that they shuffled the deck a little bit. So mandatory minicamp will actually be the third week of OTAs from Tuesday, June 4th through Thursday, June 6th. So it's interesting that they're switching things up a little bit. So there will be players that will be at, because I believe you have to make about 90% of the voluntary OTAs to get your workout bonus, and most of the veterans do have pretty sizable workout bonuses attached to that. And JJ, who knows if JJ is going to be here? He skipped the voluntary part of the OTAs last year, showed up to mandatory minicamp, no muss, no fuss, and absent a contract. Will he be here? Will he not be? TBD. But I do like that they changed things up a little bit. So guys that, I mean, it's a bit of a double-edged sword. So rookies and guys on the rookie deal are going to want to be at every single practice, try and earn their spot and solidify their position with the team, right? They want to do that. But veterans who have workout bonuses, they're not going to hit that 90% threshold or 85-90% threshold unless they show up for the final week of OTAs. So it's almost diabolical, man. But I love it. You're good to go. But that is it. That is me. Yet again. That's it. That's Vikings Saturday news dump. You're the best. You know what to do. Skull production value.